Now, I know this is going to sound crazy, but bear with me. Every day, I am so grateful for the moment that man tried to me and take my life. I'm grateful for that moment, and I'm going to explain why. Had that day not happened where this man literally tried to take me out, my near unaliving experience, I would not be here every single day trying to get you guys to get to Christ. And if you ever really have a moment to sit down and listen to a lot of testimonies of people who have come to Christ, they've hit a moment in life where they fell so hard, where they had nowhere else to fall but to the cross. And that was literally my testimony. I know that not all times bad things bring people to Christ, but sometimes people have some small situations that have got them there, and people have some very severe, drastic trauma that has got them to Christ. And that's my testimony. Had that day not happened, I wouldn't be here. I would probably still be living a very extreme, lukewarm lifestyle. So, what I'm saying is, just because you're going through a bad season or just because you have something crazy that has happened to you, that might be the very thing that God is going to use to bless you or help you bless others. That might be your testimony, your purpose, your story to help build his kingdom. And it also might bless you in multiple ways, because since I've been sharing my testimony, I've been getting blessed in so many ways through social media. I was in Bible study this morning with myself. I love to talk to God in the mornings and read my Bible and just study different things in the Word. I know a lot of times when people are going through hard times, they tend to relate to the story of Job, because Job lost everything. He lost his animals, his property, his family, his money. He lost everything. But in the end, God blessed him times 10. While that's a beautiful testimony, my favorite story in the Bible is the story of Joseph. And God has really been like reminding me about Joseph and his code and the story of Joseph. So I'm going to tell you, I was in the Word of Joseph this morning, and Joseph was born into a family where he was the youngest brother, and all of his older brothers hated him. They hated him to the point where they planned to take his life, his own flesh and blood, okay? They threw him in a cistern. They were going to take his life, and then one of the older brothers were like, "You know what? Instead of taking his life, let's get what we can from him. Let's sell him." His own brothers sold him into slavery, okay? They moved on with their lives. They thought that he got sold into slavery and probably passed away. They didn't think nothing else of it. Years and years and years later, because he was sold into slavery, he ended up working for this man. This man's wife tried to come on to him, which landed him into jail, which made him be cellmates with somebody that brought his name up to the king, which made him go and work for the king, which made him become very high in royalty. Dang near king. I don't know what his title was, but let's just say he was so high up, he was king, okay? All because his brothers sold him into slavery. It looked like a terrible, shisty, low down, dirty situation, but it was literally for his good, because he ended up becoming king. To the point where when a famine hit town, his own flesh and blood, his own brothers, the same ones that tried to sell him into slavery, didn't even have enough food. They had to go to Joseph. They didn't even know that this man was king. But they went to the king to ask for money and to ask for food so that they could continue living. And then when Joseph realized, these are my brothers, these are the men that tried to take my life, they thought that they were going to take my life, but now they need me for their own life. You see how God does that? You see how God can take a traumatic situation and what it can blossom into. Nothing happened by chance or accident. Him getting sold into slavery at that moment, him going to jail, him having prophetic dreams led him to the position that he's. Everything was aligned by God. So what I'm trying to say is, never take something so bad, never take something so traumatic without looking and realizing, what is God trying to tell me in this moment, or where is God trying to get me in this moment? I'm a living witness. I'm a walking testimony. Sometimes the most painful, traumatic moments in our life can lead us to the very track that God is trying to put us on. And I remember in the beginning of reading that story of Joseph, I'm like, Dag, he would have, before I knew the outcome, I was like, Dag, if Joseph's father never would have told him to go check on his brothers, he wouldn't be in the position that he was in. But really, it really wasn't his natural father on earth that was telling him to go to his check on his brothers so that they could sell him into slavery. That was his heavenly father that told him to go check on his brothers so that he could get on the same path. Just like I spent months and months and months after my trauma wondering, Dag, I should have just went home. I shouldn't have did this. I should have never went out that night. No, because that moment was never meant to unalive me. God was rebirthing me into my purpose. That had to happen. It had to happen. And I'm so glad it did, because it got me to where I am today. And I don't know if y'all know how the story of Joseph ended, but he did reveal himself to his brothers, and he had the better hand. He even after all what happened, he loved his brothers, but he had the upper hand. He had all of the money. He had all of the land. He had all of the animals. He had all of the food. He had everything. His brothers had to eat out of the palms of his hands. So take that too. Just because somebody wronged you, you may not see it for years and years and years, but God said he will put your enemies at your footstool. He didn't say when. He didn't say that it would happen immediately, but he said that it would happen. So if somebody wronged you, forget about that apology that you may never get. God got you on track. Everything happens for a reason. Remember that. If you have a traumatic situation, where could God possibly be taking your life? And I didn't know then. It took months of therapy and prayer for me to finally be revealed. Wow, God, you did this for a reason. You did this for a purpose. That's my testimony. If y'all have a crazy way of how y'all came to Christ, let me know in the comments. Let people know. Let's give others some hope that the bad things and the bad times or the trauma that they may be going through is not in vain. Put y'all testimonies in the comments, and let's help build others that might be going through a crazy time. I love y'all. I will see y'all in the next video.